Thanks, Bill. I'm Jeannie. We're two do-it-yourselfers who met on a sailboat in 1988. 3 houses and 4 boats later, we're refitting our 1998 Seahorse Oceaneer 55-foot steel trawler, Blue Sky. Welcome to our journey.
As we come down the porthole, there's the unused hawse hole, 3 portholes, the port entry, some vents, several scuppers, and 2 cabin windows. On the aft hull, we have the swim platform, a few cleats, and the Blue Sky sign. As we come up the starboard hull, we have some vents, several scuppers, 2 cabin windows, the starboard entry, and 2 portholes. On the aft deck, there's the transom shower, a water faucet, a waste port, 2 fuel fill ports, 2 hatches for accessing the stern compartment, and the stairs leading up to the salon deck. On the salon deck, we have a teak table and chairs. From the salon deck, you can walk all the way around the salon and galley and access the pilot house and the Portuguese Bridge. From the Portuguese Bridge, you can make your way down to the Fore Deck. On the Fore Deck, we see the windlass with the anchor hanging off the bow, several cleats, Samson post, 2 escape hatches, a waste port, and 2 fuel ports. Looking back, you can see the pilot house. From the Fore Deck, you can access the starboard entry, the port entry, and the Portuguese Bridge. From the salon deck, a ladder goes up to the boat deck. From the boat deck, we can see the solar panels which are on top of the pilot house. We can also see the HVAC mini split condenser, which provides air conditioning for 4 of our cabins. On the mast, which is also on top of the pilot house, we have the radar system, the weather system, a compass, a GPS antenna, IP cameras, and lights. Back on the boat deck, we have the winch, the dinghy, and Starlink.
So we come into the foyer from the port entry. Here we have the potable water manifold, a lovely work table / catch-all, and stairs forward, another lovely work table catch-all, access to the starboard entry. We have a porthole on this side. It does open, but I'm not going to open it for you. And stairs up to the salon dining galley area. This is what we call the chimney, but it is the engine room fresh air supply. Stairs heading aft, AC electrical control, monitoring, and DC electrical control. Another porthole. Okay. And then down below is the 50 amp cord reel. Of course, this room is one of the unfinished rooms. All of the rooms are unfinished, but there's some that are closer to being finished than others. All right, so let's go up to the salon / dining room / galley. And right here, as we're going upstairs, we have some storage. I don't know if I can get it open. There it is.
There you go.
We got some dining room chairs stored here. Extra chairs. Oh, can I get it back in there? And here's our dining room bench. Eventually there will be a long, narrow table, and it'll be high-low. We have storage underneath the bench on each L, and then we have storage that you can access underneath the seats here. Pretty deep Pretty deep storage there. And then I think there's another, nope, just there. Yeah. There's another deep storage pocket underneath that cushion also.
Just have to trust us.
Yeah. Here we have more storage and the outdoor cushions. These doors lead to the salon deck.
Hang it up.
Both doors open like that. Then we have an island, and in the island at this end is a trash compactor, an ice maker, a small fridge, and more storage. And then back on the galley side, we have more storage, a small fridge, more drawer storage, a dishwasher, and my beloved coffee machine, a big sink, under sink storage, Lazy Susan storage in this corner, then some more drawers, and then a residential size refrigerator and freezer for the bottom two drawers, a microwave, convection oven, and it also provides a vent. So that's the galley and the salon. And now we'll go on up to the pilot house. Follow me. In the pilot house, we have this L-shaped bench with storage underneath, a small table that goes up and down, access to the port side of the Portuguese Bridge. And then here is a desk, again with storage. So here we have two Helms chairs. You can stand up or sit down. Same with this one. And the helm and all the equipment, Bill will go over that in just a minute. And over here we have a day head. And it just has a small sink and a toilet. And here we have the starboard access to the Portuguese Bridge.
We have power control or battery control switches for the main engine batteries, and then battery control switch for the windlass and for the winch. Then we move over and we have a backup VHF radio. Finally, we have engine monitoring for the port engine, and this allows you to put the engine in off mode, on mode, or run, and then you can start or stop it. The engine monitoring display has not been programmed yet. Same items for the starboard side. And then we also have the primary VHF, which is also our AIS. And then we have a stereo radio and a thermostat. And then going down to the bottom, we have a Glendemming remote. This allows us to control the engines remotely and the thrusters, both bow and stern. We also have a breaker panel and switch panel that allows us to turn on the ship's electronics and other equipment that's necessary for operating the ship. We have a C-zone system which allows us to control AC and DC devices and do some monitoring. Finally, we have SIMRAM navigation gear, which consists of 3 MFD displays, and we have one more display down in the foyer, which you saw a little while ago. Finally, we have the bow thruster controls. We have the ship's throttles and gear shifts. We have the steering monitoring. We have electronic steering, so this is the monitoring system for it. We have a remote SIMRAD MFD controller, so this allows you to control these 3 displays, and eventually it'll get mounted somewhere over here by the chairs. Finally, we also have a SIMRAD remote autopilot control, which allows us to control the autopilot from anywhere on the boat. Steering wheel, helm wheel for the boat. We have a number of switches here. These allow us to monitor the bilge pumps. If they're green, that means they're getting good power. If they're yellow, they're running. If they're red, there's high water in the bilge. And then finally, we can also control the wipers and the horn, and we can make the table go up and down with this control right here. And finally, we can tell the nav gear to come on if we don't want to actually turn on the engine batteries. And as Jeannie pointed out, we have ship computer here, which is just used for general log information and stuff like that. And we have a phone system here. So we use it as an intercom system in the boat. The computer over there is used for accessing our IP cameras that we have throughout the boat, but there's an issue with the computer right now, so we're not bringing the cameras up on it right now. But once we get that repaired, that camera will be there to be able to view. We have 10 cameras. Yeah, I think we have 10 cameras on the boat right now. Eventually we'll have 12 or 14 or something. And I think that is it for the equipment up here.
Let's move back down to the media room. Before we go into the media room, you'll notice this porthole here has a nice view out to the bow deck. On the port side of the media room or movie room, we have the theater seating, and then our beanbag storage. That's the door to the forward cabin. Here's my little office. AV equipment and computer equipment in there. Behind this wall is the lithium house batteries. Right now we have 20 kilowatts of lithium battery. Let's move into the forward cabin. Here's the bed. It's a queen-ish size bed, queen at the top, twin or a little less than twin at the bottom. And underneath is a set of 6 drawers. So lots of storage under the bed. Couple of portholes. This is access to the chain locker. We have a small closet. This is the door to the head for this bedroom. And let's take a look. So it's a pretty small bathroom, but there's a lot packed in here. A toilet, storage, more storage, a tiny little sink, and a shower. I think it's a 2-person shower. It has a rain shower head, and then it also has a wand. Look up, there's an exit hatch, comes out on the bow deck. And if you look down below, underneath this rug and floor is access to the bow compartment.
Flip that back, and then you use a dual suction cup device. Pull that up. It's just a normal hatch. You can bring up, drop down in here. We have the electronics for all of the bow equipment here, which consists of the bow thruster, the MSD for the toilet. This is the line from the toilet. Some control electronics up there. Then we have the plumbing for the sink and the shower. Terminal box for connecting up the bow bilge pump, which is right down there. A couple switches and a battery charger for the batteries up here. And then some C-zone to actually give us digital control of the equipment down here. That's what exists down here in the bow compartment, along with some weight that I am currently standing on. A little bit of trim weight. That is it for this room. So the way I get out of here is I come up, put my butt on the floor, and then get the legs out of the way. And I've already turned the light out. Collapse the spring to the door and drop that guy down. Okay, and then this guy pops in. Okay.
It's a handy dandy tool.
Then the other thing that's in here is the chain locker. But there you can see our big pile of chain, and that's the bridle lines coming down. And man, it is hot in there. Whew, I get this door closed back up. Okay, I think we are done in here. From the media room, we go back up into the foyer. This is the hatch down into the equipment room for loading large items. And then going on down into the hallway, we have the door to the equipment room. And then on the other side, we have what will eventually be the port head and our wet locker. Where the flooring ends is where the wet locker will start. That's where the vanity is going to go. The shower would be right there. And of course, it's all being used for storage right now. And that would be the wet locker, which also has access out to the port entry. Continuing on into the hallway, we now have the doorway into the port cabin, which will eventually have a queen bed in here and a closet and an air conditioning system. That's the exhaust system for the port engine. Leaving, we have the laundry closet, which has a 2-unit stacked dryer and washer. We can then access the master cabin, which the bed will be on the port side over here eventually, and will be a king-size bed. We then have the closet. We have the air conditioning unit for the master and the office. This is the entry into the master bathroom. This is the vanity on the left side, or the right side, and then the head or toilet will be back behind the shirts there. And then finally on the left side here, where there's wood being stored, is where the shower will be. That is the muffler system for the generator, and again there's the HVA equipment for the office and the master bedroom. And this brings us back to the office, or my office. In the back we have an office which has room for 3D printer equipment and some storage. And then here's the desk, of course, with a couple monitors and then networking equipment, and it has its own air conditioning to keep everything nice and cool back here. The Lazarette has a number of shelves that we use to obviously store supplies for the vessel. From the Lazarette, we can also access the equipment closet, which contains the stern thruster batteries and relays, the hydraulic steering pump and the electronic steering controls, and a number of C-zone boxes used for controlling lights and power for other devices. And the relay for the winch is also controlled back here. And both of those relays, the bow, stern thruster and the winch, are controlled from the pilot house. Heading back to the hallway, we'll now head down to the lower decks, which consist of the equipment room, storage room, and engine room. This is the stairs down into the equipment room, which again we have added shelves to provide storage for supplies and equipment and tools. And then we have a large toolbox, which we call Big Red, for storing most of our tools. We also have our inverter system and 220 to 120 conversion transformer. And then the yellow box there is a DC converter to provide charging for the inverter batteries. We then have lower deck AC panel, C-zone controls, water controls, hot water heater, arid bilge system, an isolation transformer, very important on a steel boat, our waste disposal system for the pilot house, repeater engine equipment so that we can monitor the engine equipment when we're down here, and also the digital control system for the starboard engine there. The port engine's digital control is just there on the left side of the screen. And there's the arid bilge and our ultrasonic hull cleaning system. Going into the storage room, we have the 2 forward fuel tanks, 2 more toolboxes, other additional storage on top, a compressor, our central vacuum cleaner, the MSD manifold system, and then 2 waste tanks, and then associated plumbing to be able to empty the tank and for transferring wastewater to and from the aft tanks. Going from the equipment room, we go into the engine room, which is not standing, but you know, you can comfortably sit in here and comfortably access all the equipment. There are 2 Isuzu 6GB1 engines back here. That is the starboard one, and then the port one is over here. We also have a 6 kilowatt Isuzu generator and a 10 kilowatt Westerby generator. And finally, a couple large storage tanks for storing wastewater. There is the fuel polishing system, which consists of the 2 filters and then the polishing module. And then finally we have starboard manifold. And behind me, if I get up and turn around, we have the, come on, port manifold right there, which allows us to control where fuel comes from, because we have 2 forward tanks and 2 rear tanks, which are back behind that wall there. And that is the engine room on board Blue Sky. Later.
In 2025, we didn't complete a lot of what we'd hoped to accomplish. Instead, we completed a lot of what needed to be done, like replacing air conditioners and thruster batteries and mitigating rust. Hopefully next year. Thanks for watching.